Hello and welcome to Cracking the Cryptic. So today I'm just going to have a look at my solve of today's Times crossword and maybe make some points to help instruct. Just before we begin, I noticed this morning. Now sometimes on the Times forum I see people say that they entered the right answer and the computer seems to have marked them wrong. What's going on there? And my answer is pretty much always, you didn't enter the right answer. It's just a computer. It's not victimizing you. You got it wrong if it says you're wrong. However, I noticed today that my place on the leaderboard is very near the bottom, and with 14 crosswords completed in the last month, I think that's off the last month, I've had 99 mistakes apparently, and I can tell you I don't remember them. I think I may have put a typo in one puzzle at one point, but whatever that was, I don't know. So I do think it is possible for the computer to glitch now, and I'd love to know what went on there to give me 99 mistakes over the space of 14 puzzles, at least 13 of which I think I got all correct. So anyway, here was my solve of today's Times crossword, and the puzzle comes up here. Had a look at 1 across. This backward-looking archbishop is issued for TV announcement. Couldn't see what that was doing. I had a look at 6 across. Publisher wants opening chapter to be a stunning success. And I was thinking of éclat. That's sometimes a stunning success in crossword terms. But then when I started to think of what a publisher is in crossword terms, that can often, for some reason, be OUP, the Oxford University Press. I mean, other publishers are available, but OUP with an opening C for chapter becomes a coup, which is a stunning success. 7 down's a bit of an anagram using the start to grimace, the letter G. So I-G-A lot A becomes otalgia, particularly nasty pain. And here at 8 down, inferior writers presenting author with samples. I wanted author to be pen, because I've got the P at the start of the answer. And I was thinking there is some sort of penny dreadful, penny weight, some sort of compound with pen to mean an inferior writer. And I'm afraid at the time I completely forgot another classic from crosswords, and the only place I've learned this word, but apparently there's a word of poetaster for an inferior poet. A poor poet was once called a poetaster. And crossword writers seem to like that. It comes up about once a year, and here it's done by Poe being the author with samples, tasters, and you get poetasters. But I didn't figure that out while I was looking at that clue, and I needed some of the acrosses to help. So 10 across, I think I had a look at. This US agent, I was thinking rep, but of course it's a government agent, so it's a Fed. So you reverse him, return him, you get def, and then behind schedule is late, and that gives deflate for let down. 11 across, somewhere in India, 3 letters beginning with G, it's going to be Goa, which is A after go. 16 is a double definition, 2 definitions of contract there. And now I can see poetasters at 8 down, and can't understand why I couldn't get it before. 5 down, writer in habit not cold. Now there's not many 9-letter words you can take a C out of and still leave a word. And although neither of those definitions for addition and addiction are straightforward, I did manage to remember that that is a possibility. 11, I can see here philosopher. Now, I don't know what the philosopher is to start with, but it looks like the definition loud is going to be the F I've got at the start of the word. Obsequiousness, I'm needing some word meaning flattery or something like that. And bunch of celebrities, I was thinking that could well be A-list, because a photographer could end in a list. But I couldn't see what it was at this point and realised I was going to have to get some across help. So let's just start it up again. Sports ground with companies backing game. That certainly made me think of Co's going backwards, and soccer's a game. The sports ground's a wreck there. Now, 12 across is quite a good solve, I thought. PM. Now, there's a lot. PM could mean afternoon, but it could also mean any one of Britain's 50 odd prime ministers. Very familiar with good fashion. Well, good fashion, fashion can sometimes be ton, T-O-N, and with T something something at the end of this, that is quite suggestive. Now, G-ton is a slight, G for good, is a slightly odd ending, but of course there are names like Washington that end in G-ton, and the Prime Minister that ends in that is Wellington. So well in has to mean very familiar, which is quite an amusing bit of cluing. I quite like that. If you're very familiar with someone, you're well in with them. So Wellington goes in there. Now I can see functionalist is a possible philosopher, and unction is the flattery. It's quite neat. At this point, I remember a comment recently that somebody said, "How do you get anagrams so quickly?" And I think sometimes, I mean, it's obviously a lot of experience. I'm quite quick at playing with the letters in my head, but it doesn't always work. So 3 down, well as he'd done, it's out of order. I can see that that's got to be an anagram of well as he'd done. And it means conceited, but I have to admit I couldn't come up with that at first. I needed some further checking letters in the answer, so I had to leave that. Doesn't always work, but again, I knew it was an anagram, couldn't really solve it. Again, I'm still looking for some sort of traction in the northwest corner, and I'm afraid not finding it, so I gave up there. Down to the southeast, reduce price. I can see the exhibition centre is probably the NEC, so then I had to think of a word meaning reduce price with those letters, and cheapen came to mind eventually. A sports person is a skier, taking in PP, digesting PP, very quiet, and you get a team talk from him. It's always useful to know the Cree as about the most regularly occurring Indian, Native American tribe in crosswords at 25 down. I think that was Screed without its first few letters. Took a little while to get that anagram as well at 29 across, mint and create. Anagram to mean money. It was a very specific form of money, money sent in this case. Bonsai at 22 down, and now here at 17, just the fact that this is 1, 2, 5, and it means offering a choice, makes that very straightforward. A la carte, a carte with ale around it. This is a lovely anagram, manoeuvring honestly or sneakily. You might not notice that honestly is 8 letters long, as is the answer to this, but sneakily can be rendered in slang as on the sly, which is a lovely anagram of honestly, because it kind of means the opposite. Couldn't see what the bit of scale revealed by Fish was. The degrees at 24 looked like doctorates from the letters in the grid. Can't remember why that was. B, avoiding 1 month for correction. I think oct is the month. Anyway, there we go, that's what it was. Now I can see that headed might end this anagram, and swollen headed is the answer, so it didn't take all that long, but just a little annoying. This is thy and a returned Dior to give thyroid. The bit of scale is re, one of the notes in the scale, do, re, mi, fa, sometimes a drop of golden sun, but sometimes a fish. This is a red orb, backwards around O for a brooder. This one is ends, which was surprisingly defined as a remainder, I suppose in the odds and ends form, and you take the word send and put the first bit to the back. Now, intending to go on to the match, I could see that's probably a cryptic definition. I can see that words like favourable and honourable fit, and there may be others. I didn't really know what that meant, intending to go on to the match. Possibly a wedding reference, especially with a royal wedding coming up tomorrow, but don't know. And I couldn't see what the couple of eggs, potentially boring tea was. So finally now I have to go into the corner, and I was quite pleased to spot that this author was energy, endless, so energ, backwards, about, and penning, containing the end of tail, which is the letter E. So that gives you green, Graham Greene, the author. Now here, old king was coal, holding most of arid, for carriole, a slightly unusual word for an old carriage. And one across turns out to be Lang is emit, backwards, an archbishop, Archbishop Lang from a while ago. So now 1 and 2 down, fairly straightforward. The T turns out to be oolong, a couple of eggs are OO. And that kind of leaves 14 down to be honourable. And why that is wanting to go on to the or planning to go on to the match, I didn't really understand and still don't. In the end, I kind of decided that it probably means that if you're honourable, if your intentions are honourable regarding a life partner, it means you plan to marry them, or a girlfriend. And I suppose that's what it's doing here, but I didn't think that was a very precise definition of honourable, especially not as it's the only one in the clue. It's the only, given that it's a cryptic definition, there's no wordplay, it's the only way you get to the answer. So I thought I'd just look up Chambers and see if one of the meanings of honourable is given as intending to marry. And I have to say it's not, if you see it here, and I'll pause it again. Honourable, none of those say definitely planning to marry. So I thought that was a tough clue. It's a cryptic definition, so there's only one definition in the clue, planning to go on to the match, and it's not a definition that actually is given in the dictionary.